Are squats bothering your knees? You want a solution? Watch this.
Our next caller is Eddie from California.
Eddie, what's happening, man? How can we help you?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, just wanted to start off today saying thank you. You know, everyone thanks you guys for everything you guys do. You guys give great advice. Don't want to dwell on that too long. I know you guys hear it all the time. So to start off, I was running anabolic earlier this year, and then made it halfway through performance. And I was in pretty much the best shape I'd been in since high school. All right, so I'm 28 now. Best shape I'd been in since high school, playing all these sports. I was playing beach volleyball one day, pulled my hammy. Didn't feel great, so I was out for a few weeks, several weeks. Got a little out of shape, lost it, lost my groove. Started going back once I felt good. Once my hammy felt good, I went back to the gym. Realized I wanted to focus on more mobility stuff because I don't want the hammy issue happening again. And then you guys have been talking about squat depth at the time on your podcast. So I decided to start going deeper on my squats. So I had previously been doing about 90 degrees. And then just said, okay, screw it. Let's send it all the way down as far as my legs will let me go. And I think after about 4 times doing that, my knees started bugging out, and I never went and got it checked, but I'm pretty sure there was something wrong with the tendon right underneath the kneecap. But I'm back now, started going back again, and I'm a few weeks back in performance. So my question to you guys is, what is the best way to really get the real deep squats, increasing mobility? And I also have an ankle mobility thing as well. I just, I think I sent it too quick,
Yeah, no, you did. Mm-hmm. So that what you're talking about is patellar tendon or patellar tendon and tendonitis. Okay, so if the knees bother you, it's almost always ankles and or hips. And so here's the deal with range of motion. A longer range of motion in exercises is better only if the person has complete control, complete stability, and can perform the movement properly with that longer range of motion. Otherwise, the shorter range of motion is better. So in your case, going down to 90 degrees was better for you than going deeper because you forced yourself to go deeper than your mobility and your stability and control allowed. So you have to address the issues that are causing you to have pain when you go down into a full squat. And it's probably ankles and hips. So I would focus a lot on ankle and hip mobility. And then if you do practice going deeper with your squat during that process, you don't go from 90 to a full squat. You literally go down an inch deeper. That's it. Just an inch deeper, and then get good at that. And then maybe another inch deeper once you feel perfect there. It's a very slow process. Otherwise, you will run into problems.
Have you squatted with your heels elevated? And did you notice that you still have the
usually
pain?
one of the little something else underneath my heels, a little small weight.
And you didn't notice any pain as you drop down into your depth? Could you get a little lower?
Yeah, I can get lower. Yeah, I can get lower with that, and there's no pain, and I feel stable.
Right.
Which is why I think it took 4 different days for that pain to actually develop. So I was getting deep, and it felt comfortable. It was just I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, so that's one of those tests Dr. Brink took us to. It clearly identifies an ankle mobility focus that you should have for that specifically. Obviously, the hips could contribute to that as well, but to gain that kind of control down in that depth, it's going to take some work. So it's a whole new exercise at that point once we can get into that depth. But to focus really on your ankle mobility is going to move you in that direction quite substantially.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it's ankle mobility. And the mistake that I think a lot of people make, I made it when I was working on my squat depth, is I start to get down in this deep squat, and then immediately I want to start pressing the weight to chat, like, oh man, yeah, okay, I'm all the way down. Okay, let's add a quarter. Okay, let's add another 50 pounds. And so you quickly start pushing the weight up when you have to remind yourself that this is actually really new territory for you. I mean, I was before that, like you, I was only squatting down to 90 degrees. So to think in 4 weeks time, I'm all of a sudden loading, really, really deep squats is a little silly. I shouldn't be doing that. So, I would take it really slow when you are squatting either with your heels elevated or you're working on that depth. And I would actually mess with things like tempo and pause squats and things like that
way before
I add load. So if you find let's just say, you can do 135 really deep and comfortable and you're like, oh, I want to get to 185. Well, before you go to 185, practice a pause squat down there, or tempo squats where you go really, really slow on the way down, or go all the way down, come up a little bit, pause, then come up a little bit more than pause. So I would manipulate the time under tension and tempo and holds before I start to load it more. I also think you'll get tremendous value from the guy, knees over toes guy. He has a lot of really good exercises that he's doing that I think will help prime you to get you into a deeper, more comfortable squat. And you just got to take it slow. It took me a long time to go from a 90-degree squatter all the way to ass to grass and comfortably do it without feeling these things, because I would do the same thing. I'd feel good. Oh, I'm down there. Start pressing the weight a little bit. Oh, then my knees or my hips would start talking to me. And it's just like what I was doing was I was loading the bar too fast.
Yeah, speaking of the knees over toes, do you have access to a sled? Because sled drags would be amazing for you to build up strength and volume with your knee in that position over your toes. So I definitely suggest that.
Unfortunately, I don't. But that's I've always liked. I used to do sleds a long time ago, and I loved them. I just don't do them anymore. But I might change that to help me out a little bit.
Yeah, that'll be good. I like that suggestion.
Do you follow the knees over toes guy? Do you know who I'm talking about?
No. But is he on?
Oh, yeah.
Where's he at?
He's huge you'll find him on Instagram, YouTube. He's all over. He's been making the rounds for the last couple of years. He's got great content specific to what we're talking about right now. So literally, just go down the rabbit hole. He's got the sled drags that Justin's talking about and some great lunges where you really drive the knee over the toe, and just good stuff to get you really primed to get comfortable in that deep position. I think adding some of that into your routine and taking it slow, you'll be fine.
Eddie, do you have Maps Prime Pro?
I do not. No.
I'm going to send that to you because there's lots of ankle and hip mobility movements in there. So practice those.
Oh yeah.
Practice those regularly.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay. So I know you had said go down inch by inch. Are you saying take it light, like real lightweight, go down inch by inch?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You want to go.
Okay.
You want to go. When we say take it slow, we mean that with everything. Weight, with depth, and I mean absurdly slow, slower than you think.
Yeah.
Okay, because here's what happens. You don't feel the pain from having a little bit of instability issues. You usually don't feel the pain in the workout. You usually feel it after, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 workouts.
If it's an ankle mobility issue, though, which I think we all agree it probably is, then you could actually deep squat all the way down, but then just elevate your heels even more. So get yourself in a nice elevated position, and then you should feel pretty comfortable going on all the way down. What if you're going to stay with flat shoes or barefoot, and then what Sal's saying, 100%, you need to go inch by inch, take your time, progressing it slowly. But by you're basically artificially giving yourself more knee travel by elevating the heels. So if it is an ankle mobility issue, one of the things you can do to get to practice deep squatting, even though you don't have the ankle mobility, just don't neglect that. The problem that when I give that advice, someone's like, oh, cool. So then they elevate their heels, they squat comfortably, it doesn't bother them, and then they never address the root cause of the issue, which is the ankle mobility. So you can do both in conjunction, right?
Yeah, and think too of increasing muscle tension. So just like you can flex right now your arms like without any kind of load, you're going to do that to your body as you drop down into that squat. The more that you're getting your muscles to engage, the more it's sending that signal that it's supported and stabilized. So that's really what we need to get, that signal to the body, so that way when you're in that kind of depth, you have that strength and control to dig your way out.
Okay. All right, cool.
All right. Thanks for calling in, Eddie.
Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right.
That's easily the biggest mistake people make whenever trying to do a greater range of motion with exercises. They either stay with the same weight, or they get a greater range of motion, like, wow, that feels good. Now let me load it. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to communicate just how slow you need to take it. You got to really take your time, because oftentimes it's not in the workout. it's often not like, oh, that hurt while you're doing it. It's like the day or two later, and you're like, what did I do?
Your body's been so good at preventing you from going further in that angle. And so it's like, you think about how often you've practiced being in that angle. It's like never. And so to add a bunch of load on that, you really have to treat it like it's a totally different exercise.
Yeah, to give an I'll tell a story. I had a client once. She was an executive and wore heels all the time. All the time wore heels. And we were talking about, ankle and foot strength and whatever. And she's like, you know what I'm going to do? When I'm home, I'm just going to go barefoot all the time. Well, she very quickly developed plantar fasciitis. Mm-hmm. And why? Because she was so used to walking in heels that went from heels to flat foot all the time that it caused problems. So it's like she had to go like 5 minutes at a time to get her body used to that. So that's kind of what happens when you've been working out a particular way and you challenge yourself with a new range of motion. You got to treat yourself like a complete beginner. That's exactly what you got to do.
I did the same thing. I mean, I went through the same process. You get excited because you're going deeper.
Of course, and it feels good in the moment.
And it feels good. And so then you instantly want to start adding the weight and get back to the weight that you can, traditionally squat. And so, I made this mistake multiple times, and you just got to regress it. And to Justin's point, get to the bottom, create tension on the bottom. I believe, so if he's listening to this afterwards, Eddie, I believe if we go back on my Instagram a little bit, you'll see some of the squat priming I do where I'm creating tension, like Justin's talking about, with just my body weight, where I'm trying to prime my ankles. I'm like basically hugging a squat rack and driving my knee over my toes, intensifying it, then going to the other side and, pushing the knees out and engaging my glutes. Like, so, prime like that. And then even when you get into loading it, load it with a little bit of weight and then do that same stuff at the bottom of your squat to create that tension Justin's talking about, and then take your time.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.